guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zhenya. Today we are going to be starting a reading vlog, but it's not just any reading vlog. It's going to be over an entire week, and I am going to be texting my friends every single day, and they are going to unknowingly choose how long I read every day. I've never done anything like this before where I'm reading for a set amount of hours each day, so I'm very excited to see how it goes, but also at the same time I'm a bit nervous. So let's go over what I'm currently reading, and we're going to make sort of a game plan. I have 2 of the books here with me physically, but I am reading 3 right now. So the first one is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and the next one is Atlas Shrugged. The book that I'm reading digitally, I'm actually reading it on my phone because it was a library hold, but it won't transfer over to my Kindle, which does not motivate me to read it, but it is Fable of the Sower. So percentage-wise, I am 14% through Fable of the Sower, 34% through Atlas Shrugged, and 60% through A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. My goals for this week, I would say that I would like to finish A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, potentially get 50% through Atlas Shrugged. This is a bit of a stretch because it's taken me a very long time to read and this book is over 1,000 pages, but if I could actually dedicate some time to it this week, that would be amazing. So yes, goal for Atlas Shrugged is 50% through. And Fable of the Sower, I'm only 14% through, but it's only 317 pages, so I think that in a week I could get maybe 75% through it. It's a bit of a slower, more depressing read, I guess, and it's not as enjoyable to fly through. So I'm really trying to take my time with that book. So those are my goals for this week. It's already Monday and I haven't read yet today, but it's still pretty early in the morning. So I'm going to text my first friend and we are going to see how long she makes me read. Wow, okay, so you saw the messages. I have to read for 4 hours and 15 minutes today. Man, this does not sound fun. Part of me is happy because it's a long amount of time and I will probably be pretty productive with my reading in that amount of time, but the other half of me is a bit nervous because I do have to work every day this week and I have some other stuff going on, so hopefully I can make it work and I will update you guys later. Okay, I'm going to start reading for the day. It's actually my lunch break right now and the Wi-Fi has just gone out, so I'm going to spend a good amount of time reading A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and hopefully by the time I'm done with my whole lunch hour, the Wi-Fi has come back on because it's really impacting the work I can do from home right now. But anyways, I have the timer here, starting now. Hello, I have been reading A Tree Grows in Brooklyn for 2 hours and 23 minutes. Going on and off, of course. I haven't done that for 2 hours straight, but here's the timer. I'm actually making much better progress than I expected, and I am this far into the book, and I actually only have 50 pages left. So I am thinking that I can definitely finish this book before my time is up for the day. And after, I will give a little synopsis of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, as well as my thoughts, because I want to start doing that more in my reading vlogs. Not just showing me reading, because what's the fun of that? I am truly hooked when I'm reading this book, so I don't think I'm going to have any problems at all finishing it. I think I could do it in just an hour, potentially, so I will update you again shortly. Hey guys, I just finished A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and some tears were definitely shed. Wow, that book was so good, and I'm excited to talk about it, but I need some time to sit with my thoughts and just decompress a bit, so I'm pausing the timer. I'm at 3 hours. Okay, I just had the window open and my cat came running upstairs and she was ready to jump out that window, but I caught her. So that's what you were saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah, did I stop the timer? 3 hours and 20 minutes into the reading. I'm done for a little bit and I'll come back with an update on the book later. Alright, it is time to discuss A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I have said it already, but I will say it again. I loved this book. Everyone should read it, and there are so many wonderful life lessons that can come from reading Francie's story. So a little bit about this book. You are following the Nolans, and they are a family that lives in Brooklyn, New York. They are not wealthy, to say the least, and that is kind of the backbone of all of their struggles that they go through. The charming part of this book is that even though they have financial struggles, parents still try really hard to create, as best they can, a happy family atmosphere and create good memories. And the children in this book, Francie and Neely, you see them starting off very young. You actually get to go back in time and see the memories of when Francie and Neely were born. You're starting off with them as young children, and you're seeing them, mostly Francie, grow up into, I guess, late teens, early young adults. Francie is the main young lady that we are following. She is so charming. I love Francie as a character, and I feel like a reason that readers love this book so much is because Francie is a reader, and the way that she thinks and navigates the world can be incredibly relatable to so many of us. Because of the situations that she's been through, she has a very mature way of thinking and getting through struggles, and I found that really fun, but also she can have these mature sides while also still being childlike and funny, but also a little bit witty, and she is really just a wonderful main character. This book doesn't really have a plot. It's more of a literary fiction, but you are just following the Nolans and you're following Francie as she grows up, and you really fall in love with this family and these characters, and seeing what they go through, it really hits you hard. And I think that's why so many people, me included, love this book. So I really think you should read this. I haven't really settled on a star rating, but I am kind of in between a 5-star and a really high 4.75 or a really high 4-star. I will have to think about that a little bit more, but the writing was wonderful, and I didn't plan on annotating this book, but as I was reading, I ended up dog-earing a lot of pages, so I kind of confined the quotes that really stuck with me. And let me just see if I can find any that are not very spoilery. Oh, I can't read that one, that's kind of a spoiler. Oh, but it's so good. I thought this one was a good one. Francie asked her mother if it was too forward for her to send someone a card, and she said, "Forward? Nonsense. Send the card if you feel like it. I hate all those flirty-birdy games that women make up. Life's too short. If you ever find a man you love, don't waste time hanging your head and simpering. Go right up to him and say, 'I love you.' How about getting married? That is," she added hastily with an apprehensive look at her daughter, "when you're old enough to know your own mind." "I'll send the card," decided Francie. That's just so sweet. This one was also so good. "And he asked for her whole life as simply as he'd ask for a date. And she promised away her whole life as simply as she'd offer a hand in greeting or farewell." Oh, this one was a really good one. "Intolerance," she wrote, pressing down hard on the pencil, "is a thing that causes war, pogroms, crucifixions, lynchings, and makes people cruel to little children and to each other. It is responsible for most of the viciousness, violence, terror, and heart and soul breaking of the world." Okay, I won't read any more quotes. I don't know if people actually enjoy that. But all that to say, I loved A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and I guess that takes me to the game plan. I still have 2 books that I'm in the middle of reading, 5 minutes left to read, which is a long time considering I have not a lot of time to read tonight. I am going to see the new Wes Anderson movie with my brother. What is it called? I don't remember what it's called, but I'll insert it on the screen. And I'm going in 30 minutes. And I'm not gonna get home until 10. So I'm gonna be up way past my bedtime, and I have to work in the morning. But I am dedicated to not losing this challenge. So I will probably just not record anymore tonight, and I'll show my timer and me finishing it probably when I'm in bed. So last night on my way to the movies, I decided to text Caden, who's my fiance, and I sent the little text. He didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that he would find out when I got home because I was timing myself, and he would ask why I'm timing myself I wanted to make sure that he was one of the people who gave me a number. So anyways, he ended up saying 3.75, so 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's my time for today. I am now just under 2 hours. I am just leaving work. I'm so tired, but I'm going to go to the gym. My reading today has all been basically audiobook. I had to get the audiobook version of Fable of the Sower, but that's okay. I just have to listen to it on less than 1 speed so I can actually fully absorb it, because it's a heavy book with some pretty dense topics, and I feel like I just really need to pay attention. I'm not the best multitasker either. However, during my little breaks at work, I was able to get almost 2 hours of reading in. Hello, I have reached my time for the day. I have the timer here, 3 hours and 45 minutes. I am reading on my phone, and I'm also vlogging on my phone, and I forgot to look at how far into the book I am, but I think it was 57% through, and that is Fable of the Sower. So I just figured that I am far enough in now, I can try and talk about at least what the book is about. Fable of the Sower is a dystopian novel, and it is set starting in 2024, I believe, and then you get a large portion of the beginning of the story in 2025. So I don't remember exactly what year it was published. I'll put it on the screen, but I think it was like 10 or 15 years ago, potentially. It's not super old, but also it was like kind of, I guess, a way of predicting what we may be like in the future, or where Octavia Butler saw America heading. The reason I picked this book up is because I always hear people talk about how scary it is that the book is set in 2025 and it is very parallel to what we are living through right now. I will say I can see where people are coming from. As of where I am in the book right now, it's like subtle aspects or nuances that they feel very familiar to the America that we're in, but the most part, it is, I would just say, a more dramatic way of predicting where we are heading. I don't know if that makes sense. I think that people are very valid for saying that, oh, this feels like exactly what we're living through right now, but I do feel like in many ways it is still pretty far off, but the overall idea is very similar. I don't know if what I am saying makes sense, and maybe you just have to read the book to understand what I'm saying. I don't know, but it is kind of telling how America is going through a downfall, and there's war and crimes and drugs, and Lauren is 15 when the book starts, and you get to see her grow up a little bit, but with time as it goes on, she is separated from her family, and you have to see her live through the trials and the tribulations and those struggles. Another very big part of the book that you find out very early, so I'm not spoiling anything, is that Lauren has something called hyperempathy, so she feels the pain of others. I have never heard of this before in a story. I actually kind of want to look up if it is something that people experience in real life. I don't think so. It feels like something pretty fictional, but if it is, wait, I should look this up right now and correct myself. Is hyperempathy a real thing? Wait, let's not look at the AI overview. Hyperempathy disorder, sometimes called heightened empathetic ability or empathetic sensitivity, refers to a condition where individuals experience an intensified empathetic response compared to the general population. Now, I don't know if what people experience in real life is as extreme as Lauren feels in The Parable of the Sower, but it is very interesting to read about. And I am really enjoying the book so far. I'm looking forward to seeing where it is going. It is a very dark book, and I think that if you are the kind of person who gets into shambles about where we are in America, or you doom scroll a lot, or you just focus on the negatives, I don't know if this book is for you. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think I might need to wait until I finish the book to really say something like this. Yeah, I'm not going to continue on the path that I'm going with my thought process, but those are my thoughts on Parable of the Sower right now. I am going to text another friend, and I'm going to see how long I have to read tomorrow so I can make some sort of a game plan. Hey guys, today's now Wednesday. Last night I texted my other friend Allison, and she said 4 hours, which really sucks because I have so much to do. I'm really hoping that someone will come through and say like 1 hour or 2 hours because this is a lot of reading. However, I'm getting a lot of reading done, so even though it's a lot, I can't complain because I'm probably gonna meet my goals for this week. I actually think that I can finish Parable of the Sower today in 4 hours. I just need to find the time to read, and then I can actually focus on at least getting to the halfway point of Atlas Shrugged, because I just have no motivation to read that book. But I will discuss my thoughts on that one when I get to it. For now, I'm just going to focus on Parable of the Sower, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. It is now update time. I am at 3 hours and 5 minutes for the day, which is a long time. I feel like all I've done recently is read. Not that I'm complaining, I love to read, it's just a lot more than I usually read a day. But good news, I did finish Parable of the Sower. And I have to retract some of the stuff that I said previously now that I've finished it, and I have more thoughts about it. Where do I begin? I feel like I left out a crucial bit of information when I gave a bit of a plot summary. What I didn't say is that Lauren, who is our main character, her father is a Baptist pastor. Something very important that happens at the very beginning of the book is that she kind of supports her dad being a pastor. Like, it's a big part of her life, but she also denies Christianity at the same time, and she begins to come up with her own sort of religion or her own thought process, and that is called Earthseed. And every chapter begins with a snippet or a paragraph or a poem from Earthseed, and you get to see this developed throughout the entire book. And basically, the whole premise of Earthseed is that God is change, and it's called Earthseed, and it's like humanity's destiny is to plant seeds and take root and grow with that change. And it's also saying that change needs to be embraced and not resisted, and in turn it's kind of wiping out self-denial, and it says you have to embrace. So that's a pretty big part of Parable of the Sower, and I didn't mention it earlier, so I wanted to say that now. Overall, I really liked the book. I enjoyed my time reading it, even though, it was a tough read and it was dark. And earlier, I think that I had said something along the lines of, I think that some people may not want to read this. And honestly, I think that I take that back, but I would say that those people need to go into it kind of with a warning. So often you hear people say that this book is exactly where we're heading right now, and it's very parallel to where America is going and everything that's going on in 2025. And I think that people who doom scroll a lot, or they are spiraling, or they're constantly worrying about the future of America, either need to know that this isn't an exact showing of where we're going, but you need to listen to the overall message of the book, because if we can come together as a community and fight against what is thrown at us, then we at least stand a chance to fight against tragedy. So I think that people who just constantly think everything tragic is happening right now should just maybe take a moment before reading this book and think about that. I hope that what I'm trying to say makes sense. Overall though, it was a really good book, and I do think that my biggest takeaway was just what I've heard again and again, is that community is so important, and it's how we can make systematic change, and I am a big believer of that as well. I think the Earthseed philosophy or religion or whatever you want to call it is potentially a really great way of living and a great mindset to have. I don't think that it needs to be its own religion really, like in our current world, but I think that it has the potential to either go hand in hand with religion or be a mindset that people completely take on. There's a lot of positives to it, and honestly, I don't see many negatives. I think that what Octavia Butler put on the pages is a great mindset for people to have, and it's something that we can follow and better our society by doing. So those are my brief thoughts on Parable of the Sower, but I still have an hour to read today, so I have to finally move on to Atlas Shrugged. This is a very large book, and I don't even know if I'm able to talk about it very well, or at least articulate my thoughts on it. I'm 396 pages in. I think that I said my goal for the end of this week was I wanted to make it halfway through the book, and that would be page 584. I have to read 188 pages. It's currently Wednesday. If I continue to get really large reading numbers throughout the rest of the week, I think that I can achieve this, but also it has taken me a month to make it 396 pages into this book. It hasn't really been a big priority for me though. I don't really want to read this solely. I may end up picking up another book later in the week, but I probably should dedicate like 2 to 3 days. That's the rest of the week, isn't it? I probably should dedicate a little bit of time to just reading this on its own. And maybe tomorrow I'll give some sort of a plot summary for you guys so you know what this is about. But I'm going to read for another hour today, and then I'm going to text someone else, and hopefully I can get 1 or 2 hours tomorrow instead of close to 4. Hello. It is currently 9:45 p.m. Usually I go to bed at 10 p.m., but I'm determined not to fail this challenge, so I'm gonna try and get another hour of reading done past my bedtime, but I don't know, I feel like I could do it. I'll show a video when I'm done. I also just realized that I didn't text anyone. I need to find out how long I have to read tomorrow, so I'm gonna think about who would respond late at night, even though it's not that late, and that's who I'll text next. I was gonna text Portia next. I was gonna text my bestie, but I don't know, I don't think she'll answer very fast. She's an early sleeper too. So I think it's gonna have to be my brother. My brother stays up till like 3. My brother said 4.18, which is about 4 hours and 11 minutes. I can't catch a break, guys. I am regretting doing this challenge. Obviously, I'm getting so much reading done, but this is way more time than I usually dedicate to reading, and I got other stuff to do. So seriously debating just making this a Monday through Friday challenge because I have a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but I really want to complete my goal of getting halfway through Atlas Shrugged. So we're gonna just have to see how 4 hours does for me tomorrow. Maybe I'll get really close to the challenge and Friday we finish it up and we're all good. Oh, and I am at 4 hours of reading, by the way. I technically finished a little bit before 4 hours on the timer, but I had just finished my chapter and I didn't want to start another one. So I feel like that's fair, and this is my challenge. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. 4 hours of reading. Hey guys, it's Thursday night. I didn't record basically anything today, but I did hit the 4 hours. I am exhausted. My brain is fried from reading, but that's okay because look, we've achieved the goal every single day so far. And I've basically read for 4 hours every day, so that's a win in my book. Today, I think I got to 48% of Atlas Shrugged, so I can definitely meet the goal that I set at the beginning of this video. And honestly, tomorrow's Friday, I'm thinking about ending the challenge tomorrow. I texted my friend Portia and she said 2.9 hours, I believe. So that's how long I have to read tomorrow. I will take it. And then I should reach my goal for Atlas Shrugged, get even further than 50%, and I'll do a little wrap up tomorrow. Good night. All right, it is update time. It's actually currently Saturday right now, but I'm happy to report that yesterday I did meet the reading goal. My friend said 2.9 hours, which is just a little under 3 hours, obviously. I ended up reading for more than 3. And even though it was yesterday, I kept the timer up so you could see, and I don't know why I just failed at filming B-roll of me reading, so I am sorry, but I swear I was very honest with all the reading and the timer stuff that I had going on this week. So let's talk about Atlas Shrugged actually, because I did not say anything about this book. And I did for the other ones, so I guess it's only fair, right? This book is tough, guys. Okay, first of all, it's over 1,000 pages, so there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of word dump that happens on these pages. I am 600 pages in, so I'm over halfway, And I still don't even feel like I can talk about the book with confidence because it's just so hefty. But I will try and give a very brief summary of like what is going on. So you have Dagny, our main character. She is at one point vice president of a railroad line called Taggart Transcontinental. And she has always kind of found that she's just fighting her way to the top. Her brother is the owner, I believe. And it was just kind of a struggle. Eventually, she does end up opening her own line. So that's a big plot point of the story. And there are affairs and relationships and some other side things going on, but the main point of the book is that the author, Ayn Rand, is trying to get across her philosophy, I guess, that she has made up, and it's called objectivism. So a very, very large part of this book is kind of flipping the tables of what at least I am used to. So you might be familiar with more of a eat the rich mentality, or people really demonizing or being very for socialism, and Ayn Rand really hates that. The narrative of this book is kind of putting the rich and the wealthy and the innovators and the thinkers on a pedestal, and she's demonizing the people below and calling them like the leechers and the looters, and they're just taking from the rich and not giving to society at all. There's a part in the book where a big movement has passed, and it is hinting at kind of what socialism is, and there's taxes and reductions and ownership transfers and the government kind of taking over what the rich own, and a lot of ownership dilemmas. Also, Ayn Rand seems to think of the rich and the business owners and these wealthy people as the brains and the thinkers of society, and she's kind of trying to put a spin on the idea that when people who are not these innovators and creators get stuff handed to them, like things that could be called their rights, that's when society begins to have a downfall and everything starts to go awry. Again, like I said, I don't even know how to confidently speak about this book. I will be honest and say a little bit is going over my head, but I am slowly trying to put the pieces of the book together and really grasp it. This is a book that personally I don't feel like I can rush through, and I don't think anyone would be able to rush through, hence why I've been reading it for I guess 2 months now. Also, I wanted to say that by me reading this, I'm not endorsing what Ayn Rand stands for, or I don't really support her. I don't exactly have a position on that at the moment. I will say this is kind of the opposite of how I usually think, but just because I'm reading someone's work who has kind of the opposite point of view as me does not mean that I wholeheartedly agree with what they have to say. Personally, I find it very valuable to not just go down a straight line of what you believe, and you kind of have to gather knowledge from other people's point of views because it gives you a more well-rounded idea of kind of how humanity thinks and functions. We're not all the same, and it's very important to think about what other values people have, and instead of just brushing them off and demonizing them because they're not inherently your own, think about them, think about why this person thinks this way, and I don't know, I think that there could be a lot of value in that. So I am enjoying my time with this book. I just wanted to put that little disclaimer in, and this probably won't be the last time you hear me talk about Atlas Shrugged. I will try and give some sort of a reading wrap up, at least talking about once I finish this book and my overall thoughts. But for now, let's talk about the challenge that this video put in place. And it's over now. Well, at least it's over in my books. So Monday through Friday, I texted my friends, my family, and I had them unknowingly choose how long I read each day. Most days I was reading for about 4 hours, and I ended up totaling just under 19 hours, no, just over 19 hours the entire week, which is almost like a part-time job. So it was a lot of reading, a lot more than I usually do, but I did achieve all of the goals that I set at the beginning of this video. I said that I wanted to finish A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Oh, and then 2, I think I also said I wanted to finish Fable of the Sower, and I did that. And 3, I said I wanted to get halfway through Atlas Shrugged, and I achieved that goal as well. So overall, this was a very successful video. I don't think I'll be doing this again anytime soon because I was really betting on some people not choosing such lengthy hours each day. But you know, that's the trick of the trade, I guess. And now I just know that when people are given a 1 through 5 scale, they are going to choose over 3 hours for the most part. At least the people I was texting. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I had talked about in this video, or if my thoughts made you want to, or if they dissuaded you from reading the books. I am interested to hear what you guys have to say, and I really appreciate you clicking on this video and watching till the end. Okay, until next time, bye!